Hello everybody, and welcome back to yet another video, and to another tier list here on the channel. Today, I'm very excited because I'm going to be ranking every new release from the 2024 Cars Diecast mainline. While I've been pretty critical of this year's Diecast lineup, and the poor choices for re-releases, and new releases, and how annoyed I am with the Cars Diecast line's over-reliance on Cars on the Road items 2 years after the show came out, I can't say I don't like any of the cars from 2024. This year is honestly pretty solid for new releases. I wish we'd gotten some different choices over what we got. I would have loved to have seen more movie releases, some different choices from Cars on the Road instead of the ones that we got. A lot of this year's releases feel very repetitive and samey with 2022 and 2023 releases, but on their own, standalone without thinking of the bigger picture like that, this year's Diecast lineup is really great, and I can't say there are any items that I particularly passionately dislike. I love 2023's lineup as well, but there were several items where I could easily say, yeah, I don't like this one, yeah, I don't like this one. For 2024, honestly, that really isn't the case, and that makes me very excited to rank this year's new releases. So, without further ado, let's get started. Of course, this tier list is only made up of cars from the mainline, so I'm not including things like the metallic NASCARs, as much as I love those, color changers, glow racers, etc. Re-releases are not being counted. It's just new releases from the mainline. So let's get started. As you can see, I went in order of the poster here, took screenshots from the poster. So a few of these cars do look a little bit different from how they look in real life because these are their prototype images, but still thought it was a good way to make all the images consistent. We're going to start, of course, with Mandy Freudenberger. Mandy is the only new release from the movies for 2024, and that is thoroughly disappointing to me. It's an uncanceled car, it's a new crew chief, and it's from the movie, so that should be an instant win, right? And for a lot of people, I've seen it being that, but to me, this item isn't all that special. It's been a long time since we've gotten a new crew chief, but to me, Mandy really is just another new crew chief. It's great to have her. It's great to have her. It's great to have an item that was canceled back in 2019. But with this being our only movie release for this year, I really wish it was something a bit more. As someone who wasn't the biggest fan of Piston Cup cars, I wish we could have gotten a little bit more than this. Regardless, I think this is a really solid item. Everybody loves Team Tachoman, and it's great to finally be able to have a racer, crew chief, and pity. Unfortunately, the color choices on those three cars do not line up at all. Greg Candyman is brown, the pity, Brian Emigear, is painted white, and Mandy Freudenberger is a completely different shade of like orangish brown. Her original prototype from 2019 gave her the same white paint job as Brian Emigear. Honestly, I prefer this new paint job instead, but I still wish that this team were consistent, and I still feel what I felt when Brian first came out, which is Tachoman is such a unique looking racer. He looks like a gingerbread man covered in icing. They really dropped the ball with making the pit crew look unique. I would have loved to have seen them continue that design style. I mean, these guys weren't in the movie. It's another case of Mattel just creating a crew chief for the Diecast line, since it does exist in the universe, of course. But the characters not appearing in the movies meant that they really could have gotten creative and done so much more with them. Unfortunately, they didn't. Mandy, though, is going to go in B tier. Pretty solid release. Great to have another crew chief after all this time. I just wish there was a bit more going on there. Cave Mater is an incredibly solid release. This is one of the most asked for Cars on the Road items. I think it's a really good looking Mater. Matches Cave McQueen perfectly. It's like a beautiful item if you have it in hand. I don't, but I've seen other people who own it. This is such a good looking release. Matches McQueen perfectly. The biggest downside is the fact that it took us way too long to get this. It should not have come out a year after Cave McQueen. A lot of the biggest detriments for several of these on the road items is just poor planning and poor timing. In the grand scheme of things, 5 years from now, it's not going to matter that McQueen and Mater came out a year apart. But for now, I think it is a detriment to this item because it's just made me less excited for it, quite frankly. Basically, it released long after the hype kind of died out for me. It released long after I stopped caring about new on-the-road releases as much as I once did. Regardless, I'm going to have to drop it in S tier. It's so good looking, and like I said, it coming out a year after McQueen in the grand scheme of things, doesn't matter, but it does kind of dock points for it, in my opinion. Logan Gearsall here is a new ghost car, who's a Model T, actually using a brand new Model T mold, different from Lizzie, which is nice to see, and is accurate to the Lights Out episode. I love how all of these ghost cars have consistent green coloring. I really like how they chose to do them with that nice matte green where the whole car is just that one flat color. Can't say I'm the biggest fan of Logan's design. As great as it is to see a new Model T in the Cars Diecast line, our first one other than Lizzie and like Stanley, I'm not a big fan of the model. It's a bit too wide if you see it in hand in person, which I recently have. And I don't know. I don't really know where to put this item, quite frankly. I think I'm going to drop him in C tier. For me, C is just, it's average. I think he could go higher, but I don't think he's B tier. If I could put something between B and C tier, he'd go there. But for now, he's going to be in C. Another ghost car, the Ghost Tractor. Really love how this one turned out. Just like the other ghost cars, it's that very nice, consistent shade of green. Again, love that consistency from item to item. They match each other really, really well. As I've stated in several videos by now, my biggest issue with this item is the expression. The eyes are spot on to the tractor scene in the episode, but unfortunately, the fact that its mouth is open really takes away from it, in my opinion. I know that sounds stupid to say, but if you look at the character in the episode, the mouth is closed. If you look at the artwork, the eyes match that artwork perfectly. The mouth does not. They decided to reuse the pre-existing next-gen tractor mold, which has an open mouth, and I think that just made the facial expression look so awkward when just using a classic closed tractor mouth would have made it look perfect. Now it's just got this awkward staring face. Regardless, it's an A tier, one of my favorites of the year. Barney Cones, this may sound stupid. Barney Cones is one of my favorite Cars Diecast of 2024. I know it sounds stupid to say that about what's just a generic blank blue pickup truck, but I really do love this item. It's been one of my most wanted items since I first saw Cars on the Road. Barney Cones is the pickup truck that pushes racers off onto the salt flats. And just having a generic pickup truck in the Cars Diecast line is really, really nice. And he has that fun addition of the bumper on his front to push cars off onto the salt flats. Having a Salt Fever car that isn't a racer is really nice, in my opinion. I know we have Noriyuki and Sarah Cogs, but those have peg-warmed like crazy in my area. I'm really tired of seeing them. Barney Cones is a nice change of pace and the type of on-the-road item that I'd love to get more of. So many of the on-the-road items we get are part of groups. The ghost cars, the salt flats cars, the clown cars. I'd love to get more unique one-off items like this. Characters that appear in a specific episode, but don't really go along with anybody else. He, believe it or not, is actually going to be, that's right, in S tier. I'm sorry in advance if you disagree with that. But he's easily one of my favorites. Also, he's a very close model to the Demolition Derby announcer, which has been one of my most wanted Cars Diecasts for years at this point. Byron Crashforth is another Salt Flats racer, a group of cars that I'm completely sick and tired of seeing. We did not need another one. They were already scraping the bottom of the barrel with Salt Flats cars in 2023, and to see another one come back this year was honestly really disappointing to me. This is probably the car from 2024 I like the least. It's nice to have a Salt Flats car that's longer than Niall Speedcone, but not as long as Peggy Liner. It's nice for people that don't have the Peggy Liner pack. But to me, this is just another useless Salt Flats background character that there's nothing interesting about. At least it's not a repaint, right? We could have gotten a repaint. Anyway, up next, we have Space Creature Lightning McQueen, another one of my personal favorites for this year. This car is great because it's basically two McQueens in one. You have a plastic sheet covering him, made to look like the sheet they throw over him to disguise him as an alien to ward off the Cryptid Busters, and underneath that, you actually have a fully unique, exclusive McQueen diecast, that being a Cryptid Buster McQueen with no gear on him. The fact that this is 2-in-1 is so cool. They did not have to make a fully exclusive McQueen under there, but I love the attention to detail doing that. It's little things like that that make me love the Cars Diecast line. So many toy lines would have just thrown a normal McQueen under there and called it a day. But no, they went out of their way to fully design the accurate McQueen that would be under there, which is so, so cool to me. The sheet for the ghost, or not ghost, the alien disguise is perfect in my opinion. It has all these little wrinkles and is even misaligned at the back where one side is longer than the other. Really just looks like they threw a sheet over him and called it a day, and that is perfectly accurate to the episode. This is another S tier in my opinion. I'm not really ranking the tiers, but I guess we could do that. Let's see. I think he's my favorite for now. I think this is pretty good. I think I'll put Barney in front of Cave Mater. Alright, Margaret Motoray is a car that gets points purely for the fact that she had lines in Cars on the Road, something that, like, most cars this year can't say. Margaret is a really nice release, finally giving us another one of the Cryptid Busters. This, much like Cave Mater, is another item that I'm simply not that excited for because to me the hype has kind of died down, and this should have been out a few years ago when we got Griswold. Regardless, it's a really, really solid item. I know this is a personal favorite for a lot of people. I'm going to put her in B tier. She's a great looking item. I honestly think she deserves A tier, but it's just not a diecast I'm all that excited for. This is a car that I think is better than I am excited for it, if that makes sense. Beautifully, exquisitely detailed. Really, really looks great. Really solid item, just not my personal favorite. Rodette Marker is a clown car that I don't really like, which is a shame because I really wanted to like it. It's the face. It's that weird big eye frown face. The right face for the character was literally right there. The mini racer did it. In the episode, almost every time we see Rodette Marker, she has this big, creepy smile, and I thought that would be perfect for her diecast. When I saw we were getting Rodette, I was so excited. I was like, oh, I can't wait to see how they do that face. They didn't. They didn't. Other than that, this car is perfectly fine. Nice to see the Suki model return. But man, the face they went with isn't even good. It's one of the strangest looking diecast expressions I've ever seen, with the big eyes and the weirdly spaced eyes and the frown. Gonna go in D tier. I'll put her above Brian Crashforth, though. Van Campbell is a clown car I actually quite like. Pretty different in visual style from some of the other ones that we've gotten, but unfortunately he's lacking in one major area. The other clown cars that we've gotten that use this design style had a metallic blue for the blue on them. Hollum Haynes, the circus stunt biplane, and Van Campbell just has a flat blue. And while I think it looks fine, that inconsistency on him is gonna remove some points. I would probably put him in B tier. Yeah, I almost put a clown car in B tier, but the inconsistency he causes with the other clown cars puts him in C tier, unfortunately. Chris Freightman is an item I gave an absolutely glowing review to when I picked him up a few months back. This, I'm just gonna say it now, this is my favorite item of 2024. Get in the tier list, buddy. There you go. You're number one. Having a blank tow truck is somehow something the Cars Diecast has never had before. The trucks episode allows for so much variety with just generic blank American road vehicles, something that I've wanted the Cars Diecast line to release more of for years at this point. As someone who runs a Cars series, it can be pretty difficult with specific types of characters because we don't have things like generic police cars, blank fire trucks, blank tow trucks in the Cars Diecast line, and Trucks is allowing us to get some more of those, which is really, really nice. It means that I, as a series creator, have a bit more variety in characters I could use and scenarios I can use. As a collector, I get a type of car we've never gotten before, and Chris Freightman is just so well designed, not to mention he's a car that's huge and is a single. Would have been a deluxe if deluxes are still around, but the fact that I get an incredibly good, large diecast for much cheaper than I would have in a previous year. This guy's got to be S tier. So perfectly designed. Easily my favorite of the year by far. Now we move into B-Movie with Jessica Carville. This is a car I don't really know the general opinion on, but it's one that I honestly really, really like. It's an obscure character with lines, and much like with Barney Cones, I really like the fact that it's a character that doesn't really go with the other cars we've gotten. I know we have Bella Cadaver, and these two could go along pretty well, but it's different, you know. Like I said before, so many of the on-the-road releases are similar types of cars that fit into groups, clowns, ghosts, salt flats racers. Just having this blank, generic pity, somebody clearly designed to just be a background character with a few lines in the episode, getting a diecast, I think is really nice. It's very unique. She's a Guido repaint with a clipboard. I think the biggest downside to this item is the fact that she came with a cone. Just a reused cone that we've seen a few times before. I think this is the same one that came with Millie. And while it is nice to always see them include accessories with pitties to try to justify their existence, or their price point, their place as a single, the fact that she didn't come with some sort of movie-related accessory is really disappointing to me. A camera, a box of props, even like the laptop the writer pity has. You could have made this a 2-pity pack and include the writer pity instead. I'm going to throw her in A tier. I know that sounds like a lot, but this is an item that I really, really like. It's just the accessory that drags her down, but I like it enough to not complain that much about the accessory. Deputy Hazard with Slime is another car where they really went out of their way to make it look good. This is McQueen covered in the fake slime he gets covered in B-Movie while filming the movie. This is one that I actually never found in stores. I'm still hoping to find it at some point soon. It's basically a glorified expression variant. It's an expression variant with a removable plastic accessory that gets slipped on top of it, not unlike the Space Creature McQueen that we already talked about. Hey! Honestly, not my personal favorite item. I really liked it at first, but the more I think about it, the less and less necessary I feel it is. I think I'm going to drop it in C tier. It's nice, but I don't know, not the biggest fan of it. Put him at the top of C tier, or we'll put him in the middle here. Now, I have heard that a running change has happened that's actually updated the color of Deputy Hazard, which is great. One of my biggest complaints about the original Deputy Hazard diecast is how off the color was compared to the episode. It seems, from what I've heard, they've changed him to match Tony Motorfelt a bit better. And if that's the case, maybe this guy will go up a tier, but the fact that you're barely going to see that color on him because he's going to be covered in slime most of the time, it doesn't really change my opinion on him all that much. President Mater is an item I was very excited for, but say it with me now, how long it took to make really made it less exciting to me. It would have been great to have this item a year ago, but instead we got the color changer of President Mater, which just made this item less exciting to me when it finally released. And when it did finally release, it was good. It looks good. I have it. I'm looking at it right now. I'm trying to pull it out from my Maters. And it's a really solid looking item. Unique expression I'm not the biggest fan of. My biggest issue with it is the fact that it has that long hook. I just prefer the original Mater hook design, but whatever. Not that big a deal. These are toys at the end of the day. I don't mind them making a small change to Mater that makes it easier for kids to play with Mater. I don't really know where to place him. I think he's going to go in C tier. We'll put him above Deputy Hazard. Again, C tier for me is just average. President Mater, pretty standard, pretty solid. It's what I would ask for. It doesn't go above and beyond. It's an on-point, spot-on, accurate President Mater. Has some things about it I'm not 100% on, but pretty solid. That's why he's in C tier. Tony Motorfelt is another one I really love. A car based on Roscoe from Cars 3, who I like significantly more than Roscoe from Cars 3. This is another item that would have been a deluxe any other year, but here we get him as a single. He looks great. One of my personal favorites of the year. Again, he's another one I have in hand. I'm looking at him right now. This is such a solid looking item. I know it basically uses a pre-existing mold, so there's not much to say about how good the mold looks, but it's a really good looking mold. All the on-the-road items have had insanely solid molds. He's going in S tier. Love the facial expression. I love the paintwork. Looks really nice with the glossy greens and shades of tan and brown. I really, really like this car, and it's another unique type of car we really never get. It's a park ranger. That's super cool. Okay, our next few items come from the Road Rumblers episode. Great to be getting some more Road Rumblers. We have Jason Roadkey, who looks pretty solid. I don't like the reuse of Fishtail from the Demolition Derby, but that's a problem I have with the designs in the show. not the designs in the diecast line. If you see this guy in person, you might see that he has a strangely, like, bronze color scheme, which I'm really not the biggest fan of. I think I'm going to drop him... I think I'm going to drop him in D tier, honestly. Not my favorite of the Road Rumblers. Nice to have another Road Rumbler and a generic-looking Road Rumbler. But, again, it's not the most special, in my opinion. A little bit below average. But I'll put him as the best of D tier. Up next, we have Justin Roadrunner here. Why did they make these two have such similar names? Now, Justin actually has two variants, one with a rocket and one without it, and a slightly different face. I'm going to put them both in B tier, I think. I like this one over this one. He's based on Broadside from the Demolition Derby, but the comparison isn't as easy to make as it is with Jason Rodeke, who really looks just like Fishtail. He's a fun release. I love the fact that there are two different variants of him based on where you buy him. If you buy him in the 2-pack with the guy who shot the missile at, or if you buy him as a single. I think this is one that's going to go under the radar of a lot of collectors, and especially kids who might not notice that they did two different releases. This is why I wish that they used variant names, just, you know, Justin Roadrunner with missile, or Justin Roadrunner without, whatever. Definitely prefer this expression to this one, but yeah, pretty solid. Now again, in person, I've seen these are kind of a weird color scheme, so that may make me lower them down, but I don't have these items yet, so I can't fully say. Now we move into all of the GRC cars. Let's try to do these quickly, because there are a lot of them. I don't have any of the GRC cars just yet, but I have reviewed the plastic versions released with the playset, and the attention to detail on the GRC cars is absolutely beautiful. The way they designed them is so great. They really had just such a great thing going with these. I think the GRC has some of the best designs I've ever seen, if not the best designs I've ever seen for an expanded universe cars line. For most of these characters, they didn't just take the pre-existing design and add a little bit and call it a day like they usually do for expanded universe lines. They really went above and beyond. They were so thoughtful with the designs. McQueen is so cool. A lightning bolt on his roof and on his side. The other side having a completely different design. The black and white added to most of the characters looks incredibly good. You can't go wrong with adding black and white. You know, they're colors that really work with basically anything. This is one of the best McQueen designs I've ever seen for the toy line. It's going in S tier. We'll put him at the end of S tier, yeah. Really, really solid. Francesco continues that streak of beautifully designed GRC cars. I've reviewed his plastic release as well. And the thing I love most about him is just how they pulled off the colors. As you can see, they decided to make the sides primarily black, and then they made Francesco red here. They added a white stripe here, and then the back is green. And what I love about that is that from the top, it looks like the Italian flag. And that blew my mind when I first saw it. It's so cleverly designed with a red, white, and green. The way they pulled these cars off is just, they're so solid. They're so great looking. He's going in high A tier. Carla Veloso is one of the ones that, in my opinion, I feel has a bit of a weaker design because she just looks a little too similar to her regular release. It just looks like a Carla that they've added a bit more to. It really reminds me of the Carnival Racer version of her. I think I'm going to put her in high C tier. It does look really nice, and it's one I think I'll probably like more when I get it in person. But for now, just looking at this image and what I've seen, it just looks like a pretty generic Carla to me. The same is true for Miguel Camino. Nothing too different, but I think it works a little bit better with him. I love, love, love the black spoiler on the back. It looks really nice. That's actually the color Miguel spoiler is supposed to be, but the diecast line has got it wrong all this time, so I like seeing them update it for this release. Again, it's much like Carla, very close to his regular design, but I really like how he looks. I think he's going to go in high B tier. Raul Cerul is one I'm honestly kind of torn on. I love the changes made to him. I mean, the GRC is named after a logo on him after all, so it's nice to see they went above and beyond to make changes with him. He's one that I think I'll really have to formulate my opinions on when I get him in hand. I love that they made changes to him, but I don't think I love the changes they made, if that makes sense. I think he's also going to go, I think I'll put him in high C tier. You know what? Yeah, I think that's good. I think I'll put Carla in front of him. I feel like, I don't know, I'm not the biggest fan of the stripes of color on him. I think, honestly, if you remove this part going over the top, well, actually, if you remove that, then you'd basically just have regular Raul. I don't know, I think they should have done something else in the red stripe. I like the GRC logo there on the side, though. Shu Todoroki, another pretty solid one. I don't think the prototype image does him justice. I absolutely love the facial expression they gave him, and the prototype doesn't really have that. He will go in... I'll throw him in B tier somewhere. There we go. Jackson Storm is a character I feel they often struggle with coming up with new expanded universe releases of. He's just not a car with that interesting of a design in the first place. There's not that much that they usually change with him. I think the GRC one is pretty good. To me, it feels like NASCAR Jackson, but done right, honestly. I think I'm going to put him in B tier over Shu. I love that usage of the light blue. I love that shade of light blue. And it looks, again, pretty similar to other Jacksons, and I still wish they'd do something drastically different for an expanded universe Jackson Storm one day. But as far as this goes, it's pretty solid. Max Schnell, I think, might be my least favorite of the GRC variants. He's another one that's just very similar to pre-existing variants we have. He very closely matches, like, the Carbon Racer Max Schnell, and I think they could have done a bit more with him. I'm going to put him in maybe the middle of C tier there. Cruz is another item I'm really torn on. I've seen a lot of people really liking this release. I don't know if I'm the biggest fan of it, honestly. I think she would have looked a lot better if they didn't go with the black hood for her, because I love the side design with the black, blue, and white GRC logos, and the black and yellow go together so well. I love the Dinoco dinosaur painted in black on the side there, but I just don't know how I feel about the hood. This is, once again, like most of these GRC cars, I need to formulate a stronger opinion on her when I get her in person. But I don't think I like the hood that much. I would have liked something a bit different there. I will throw her in high B tier, though. We then get into Cars on the Road Ramon, another item that I wish the prototype image did justice to better, because this is such a great looking release, one that I've wanted for months and hasn't hit the US yet, I'm pretty sure. But, look, new Ramon, okay. If you're a new Ramon, you almost immediately get into high S tier, just on the fact that you're a new Ramon. It's a new Ramon that appeared, and Ramon designs never miss. This is one of the coolest looking, most unique Ramones I think we've ever gotten. He's going to go right up there in S tier. We then get into the movie prop 2-pack, or I guess kind of 3-pack. I had to take pictures of these separately because it would not save all 3 of these as one picture, but I'm going to rank them together as if they were one. The movie prop is really cool to have, you know, something based on the mother UFO from Unidentified Flying Mater. I don't like the silver paint job done for it. I've seen, like, in-hand images of it. I'm just not the biggest fan of the choices that they made, but that's just me. That's just my nitpicky side coming out, because I wish that they'd painted it white, like the one from Unidentified Flying Mater, but it really isn't that color in the show, so this is accurate to Cars on the Road. I think I'm going to put this entire pack at the end of B tier. Great to have blank pitties, although the fact that they have these little arms to lift the movie prop make them match great with the movie prop, but it makes them a bit less useful in my opinion. Throw them into B tier. Finally, Ken and Jinoki. This is both one of my favorite releases from the year and one of my biggest disappointments of the year. The fact that we're only getting one electric car after 2 years of Cars on the Road. The electric cars have been one of my most wanted items from the entire show since the trailer came out and we first saw them. To finally get one, and it permanently has this missile stuck to it, while it looks really, really great, I was so disappointed when the poster was revealed and we didn't see any more of them. It's just Ken. He's just Ken. And you know what? This time, that's not enough. I wish we'd gotten more of the electric cars, maybe next year, but who knows. He is going in high A tier, though. This is a really, really great release. And there we have it, my full tier list for the 2024 Cars Diecast line. Let me know what you think of this in the comments. Let me know what your thoughts are, what your favorite cars of 2024 are, what your least favorite cars of 2024 are. I can't wait for the Byron Crash Force Defense Squad to come after me. Let me know if any of the cars I really like are ones you don't, or vice versa. I would love to know. Thank you all so much for watching. Just to conclude, to wrap it up, in D tier we have Jason Roadkey, Roadhat Marker, and Byron Crashforth. I guess I should read these backwards to front because we're going worst to best. Alright, so Byron, Roadette, Jason, C tier, Van, McQueen with Slime, Max, President Mater, Logan Gearsall, Raul, Carla. In B tier, D Pitties and the movie prop, Shu, Jackson, the two Justin Roadrunners, Missile and Without Missile, Margaret Motoray, Mandy Freudenberner, Miguel Camino, Cruz, and an A tier, Jessica Carville, Tractor Ghost, Francesco, Ken Anginoki, and an S tier, GRC McQueen, Tony Motorfelt, Cave Mater, Barney Cone, Space Creature McQueen, Ramon, and Chris Freightman. Really solid year for new releases. There are very few of these that I can say I really don't like. I think it's a pretty good year. I'll see you guys next time. Bye now.